The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Hello, and welcome back to Drew's Adventure History TV. I'm your host, Drew Doherty. 5 months ago, I did a video on the Titanic, and it was very popular. But did you know that Titanic has a sister ship that also sunk just a few years later? In the year 1908, White Star Line began developing a new line of steamships called the Olympic class. This class featured 3 new luxury vessels, the RMS Olympic, the RMS Titanic, and a few years later, the RMS Britannic. J. Bruce Ismay, the White Star Line, famous for surviving the eventual sinking of the Titanic, partnered with William G. Peary, the head of the Harland and Wolff Shipping Company, to create a new line of steamships that could compete with Cunard's Lusitania and Mauretania. Ismay and Peary teamed up with William Arrow to create an Arrow gantry, a large steel structure which could house these 3 ships during their construction and up to their launches. Each ship was designed to be over 270 meters long, which are gross tons of 45,000 tons. During the production of the first 2 ships, Peary was working with a man by the name of Alexander Carlisle, which they disagreed on the matter of the lifeboats. Carlisle was on the side of the more lifeboats, while Peary was satisfied with what they have. Carlisle retired from shipmaking, and his position went over to Thomas Andrew, who eventually perished on the Titanic's main voyage. The Olympic was launched in October 1910, and the Titanic was launched in May of 1911. On November 30th, 1911, the keel was laid for the still unnamed third and final ship of the Olympic class. At that time, the plans for the third sister ship looked a lot different than how they would end up. Some evidence pointed to the possibility that the ship was originally intended to be named Gigantic, but due to the Titanic tragedy, they decided not to call it that. White Star Line and as well as Harland and Wolff denied the allegations, but I don't believe it. The Titanic disaster happened on April 15, 1912, and with the new safety measures for the Britannic were applied, and the world's largest ocean liner at that time, over 1,500 people died in the similar tragedy due to the infamous disaster. White Star Line and Harland and Wolff prepared stronger safety measures such as more lifeboats and creation of a new superstructure. It only had listened to Alexander Carlisle and put more lifeboats onto all the ships. The Britannic was launched on February 26, 1914 as a transatlantic passenger liner. In August, England declared war on Germany for invading Belgium and entered the First World War. In September, the Britannic returned to have propellers installed, but due to the war efforts, was a requisition into a hospital ship for the British Admiralty. Cunard's RMS Lusitania was being used as a civilian ocean liner when it was sunk by a German U-boat in May of 1915. The Lusitania sister ships, the RMS Mauretania and Aquitania, were requisitioned into troops transports ships, as well as the RMS Olympic and many other passenger liners. Meanwhile, on November 15, the RMS Britannic was turned into a hospital ship, renamed the HMHS Britannic. HMHS stands for His Majesty's Hospital Ship. The ship was repainted white and with green stripes and red crosses, and more than 3,300 beds were installed. Many common areas of the ship were reposed for medical use, such as making spaces for house doctors and turning the first-class dining and reception rooms into operating rooms. Medical equipment was officially installed on December 12, 1915, and she was declared fit for service on the 23rd of December. She left Liverpool for the Aegean Sea, sharing a room with the Mauretania, Aquitania, and her sister ship, the Olympic. She spent 4 weeks as a floating hospital on the Isle of Wight. In March of the next year, she began her third voyage, which only lasted a few weeks because of the Dardanelles. The Admiralty was preparing to return Britannic back into a passenger liner, but months into her retrofitting, it was recalled yet again to assist the war effort. The British government paid the White Star Line £75,000 for the configuration of the ship. If it were the case, chances are the ship wouldn't have sank it the way it did. On September 24, 1916, Britannic started her fourth voyage, encountering a storm that she was able to successfully bear. On its fifth voyage, the crew got sick and it was forced to equate them when the ship arrived at Mudros. Britannic left Southampton for Lemnos. It would be her final voyage. On November 12, 1916, the first part of the trip was successful as the ship arrived in Naples on the 17th for cooling and water refueling. By the 21st, they left port and were heading full speed to the Kea Channel. At 8:12 a.m. European Eastern Time, Britannic was rocked by an explosion, which later proved to be a mine planted by a German U-boat that sank her in 55 minutes. Upon impact, which took place on the bow of the ship, passengers in the dining room were clearly aware of the have just happened. Doctors and nurses ran for their posts. There's a good chance of propellers were loud and they couldn't tell what the explosion was, but in reality it was an explosion. The explosion took place on the starboard side towards the bow between holes 2 and 3. The damage that watertight bulkheads leading to several of the watertight compartments to fill with water. No to mention, the boiler room was also filled with water, just like Captain Bartlett ordered the watertight doors shut and sent a distress signal was received by other nearby ships, but Bartlett didn't receive any back because of the mast snap. The antenna wires and few of the doors didn't shut, causing the ship to sink even faster. Some of the nurses decided to open the porthole windows before the explosion, which was against their orders and also causing her to sink quicker. Captain Bartlett ordered the crew to navigate the ship towards the nearby island while the lifeboats were getting ready. A few crew members decided to get into the lifeboats before receiving the order to do so. They got sucked into the propellers. 35 lifeboats were dropped into the water with most of the crew. And Bartlett tried to get the ship towards the island, but the flooding got worse, so they decided to abandon the ship. Some lifeboats began to reach the island to receive help from local fishermen. 2 ships, the HMS Scourge and the HMS Heroic, arrived at 10 a.m. to pick up over 800 survivors, while many have already reached the island. The HMS Britannic was officially gone. In closing, the story of the HMHS Britannic is one of the common person probably does not know, because everyone knows the Titanic, of course, but rescuing of the Britannic's passengers was much more successful than her sister ship. The wreck is located in the Kea Channel in 400 feet of water and was discovered in December 1975 by Jack Cousteau. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Drew's Adventure History TV and learn about the HMHS Britannic, Titanic's forgotten sister. And have a great day and great Thanksgiving. Thank you.